Hey everyone, welcome back to English Lessons with Guneet. In today's video, we're going to do the poem When Great Trees Fall by Angleou. So this poem, the title of this poem, it is a metaphor in itself. So further as we read the poem, we'll get to know how. So let's start with the first stanza. When great trees fall, rocks on distant hills shudder, lions hunker down in tall grasses, and even elephants slumber after safety. So over here, when great trees fall, it is a very powerful metaphor which stands for rocks on distant hills shudder. So these trees that are there, we know that trees, they symbolize stability and shelter. So when a great tree that is there, it falls in a forest, so that means there is an end of something very huge, something which is life-giving, because trees, they are considered to be life-givers as they provide us with many things. They provide us with shelter, with oxygen, with fruits and many things. So when trees which are like great trees, very huge trees, and when they fall in forests, so they have a huge impact because they are life-giving in themselves. So what all effects are there? Rocks on distant hills shudder. So over here, rocks, this is personified, so the use of the literary device personification is over here. So rocks, we usually know that rocks, they are like very solid and very still, and now there's such a situation that those still and solid rocks, even they are shaken, means the impact of the fall of great trees. And if we say it in the metamorphical way, so the impact of the death of great men, that is such a huge event that even the solid and still rocks, even they are shaken by this event. Then distant, so over here distance symbolizes that the impact of the fall of great trees move awkwardly. So even the elephants, who are like the largest and the strongest land animals, even they lumber after safety. So over here, the literary devices, as I told you, great trees, they stand for great people, and the personification of rocks was there. And if we talk about the lions and the elephants, over here the literary device that is used with them is symbolism, because they represent strength, that even such animals who are usually generally known for their strength, even they are afraid in such a situation. And imagery is also used, because we can imagine in our minds, we can have an image in our minds how the rocks are trembling, or the lions are crouching down, and the elephants fleeing away. So this stanza, it just sets up the idea that how the death of great men, it is not just a small event, it is a far-reaching impact. From the distant hills to the mighty beast, everyone feels insecure when these giants are lost. Let's move to stanza 2. When great trees fall in forest, small trees recoil in silence, their senses eroded beyond fears. So in the first stanza, we studied about how the mighty things are affected. In this paragraph, we are going to study about how even the tiniest, the small things are also affected. So over here, the use of the literary device repetition is there, because in the first stanza also, when great trees fall was used. So over here, forest represent, as we know that forests, they are like a group of trees, herbs and vegetation. So over here, forest, it represents a community, that by the fall of great trees or by the death of great men, not only a single person is impacted, but a whole system, a whole community is affected, the whole society is affected. Small things recoil into silence. So even the tiny creatures in the forest, which are they represent the vulnerable people, like the ordinary folks, the common public that are there, even they are affected by the death of great men, and even they recoil. So the meaning of recoil is like to pull back, even they are terrified, they are startled by such an event into silence, which showcases that even they are affected so much that it suppresses their instinct to cry out. So this line, in a sense, over here the poet wants to say that we our thoughts that are there, we have many regrets, we feel guilty on the things which we wanted to say to those great souls, but we never could, which we did not say to them. And promised walks never taken. This is a quite simple line, but heartbreaking at the same moment, which represents that all those future plans that we had made with them, that we'll do this thing with them, do that with them, and say all these things to them, those things cannot happen now in the future. All those plans that we had, because the great souls are not there with us anymore. Now the deep feeling of this stanza is that regret, that after a loss we are tormented by sense. Feeling that we get from this stanza is that how much of our inner world was sustained by them, how much we were dependent on them, from their wisdom, by their love, by their guidance, and without them we feel less of ourselves, we feel incomplete without them. Next stanza says, we are not so much maddened as reduced to the unutterable ignorance of dark cold waves. Means we don't go mad in the sense of raving insanity. The basic meaning that the poet wants to say over here is that we are not so much maddened by the loss. We do not become so much mad because of that thing. But what really happens to us is that we are just brought down, we are just speechless, and we come into a state, we get into a state in which we don't know that what should we do. Because the great souls are not there with us anymore, and we are just reduced to the unutterable ignorance of dark cold waves. So over here the imagery of like a cave we can imagine, because like in a cave also it's dark and it's cold is there. So that face represents that there's like we are groping in the darkness, we are cut from the light which is the knowledge and the warmth we used to get from those great souls. We feel fearful. The metaphor of caves is used over here, which represents the state of being lost and like unenlightened. And the alliteration of cold waves is used because C and C, two consonant sounds, are used together. And when great souls die, after a period, peace blooms slowly and always irregularly. So now they again like return in this stanza to the central idea, but hints at what follows. Mean what happens when finally we come out of that phase of that we really accept the fact that those great souls are now not with us anymore. Means after a period of time, it takes time, that peace like eventually comes, and it grows gently, we again come to a state of peace. Like it always it comes with slowly and always irregularly. Means healing is never neat or predictable, and it also depends from person to person, but this assurance is surely there that it is going to come with time, although it would come slowly and always irregularly. Spaces fill with a kind of soothing electric vibration. Now with spaces, these spaces refer to the emptiness which was created due to the loss of those great souls. So these spaces that are there, they are filled with like a kind of subtle energy. These can be like the memories or the love that still lingers inside us. Our senses restored, the senses which we had lost initially after the death of great men, these they finally start to restore, we finally start to feel again, but we are never the same that we used to be when those great souls were there with us, and they whisper gentle voices of comfort and freedom. Now when finally we start to get back to our senses, now there is a whisper in us, there are like gentle voices of comfort and wisdom that we hear, that is they existed. Now over here repetition literary device is used, and this repetition is there to emphasize like the fact of their existence. They want to emphasize that at a time they were with us, we have spent some time with us, and this thing gives comfort to us, this thing is very comforted that they existed at a time, and we can be better for they exist. This means that their lives, they give us permission to keep living, striving, becoming better and better. Their legacy drives us to grow. Fine. It is a kind of, we can say, a hope and tribute that we say, that it says that their lives weren't just important, they have influenced us, and because those great people were there with us, and now they will only help us to live and improve. And so that to keep that great legacy of those great men, we have to live and be better and better. So over here the metaphor that is peace blooms like a flower is used. Like a flower, it takes some time to eventually grow from a bud, so similarly peace also takes some time to come after such a loss. And then repetition, they existed, I have already told you, and the alliteration is there, be and be better, as the B consonant sound is used. This poem basically showcases which all stages are there after we lose someone who is very dear to us, someone who had a great influence in our life. And generally even the questions in the exams, they are used in this way only. Like we have to tell what was the effect of the animals after great trees fall, how is the environment around us when great trees fall or when great souls die, which extended metaphor is used in the poem, explain it, what is the effect of the death of great souls in our lives, and like how are we restored back to our senses. Many questions can be formed like this. So I hope that the poem was clear to you. All your doubts are welcomed in the comments. So till next time, bye bye.